The time has come for the Monday, June 2nd, 2025 regular city council meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Bolton.
Present.
Guzman.
Present.
Martinez.
Present.
Felix.
Present.
Newsome.
Present.
Turner.
Present.
Donnerworth. Florian.
Present.
Mayor Cunningham.
Present.
You have a quorum, sir.
All right. Item B, invocation by Apostle Mark McCorley. Apostle McCorley.
Good evening, Mayor. Let us pray. Father, we just want to thank you right now for this opportunity for our city leaders to come together to take care of the things that are necessary to run this city. Waukegan, O Lord, is truly a city of progress. And we ask right now, O Lord, that you bless us as we progress through these times, O Lord. We ask you to bless the leaders that we have here tonight. Bless the constituents and members of the community that are here, O Lord, that may voice concerns, have concerns. And we ask for your favor upon all the business that is being taken care of. O Lord, we thank you and we ask these in your holy and mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Could we ask the gentleman from the Armed Forces to please come up and lead us in Pledge of Allegiance? I'll stand for the pledge, please. Right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. Item C, Mayor's comments. Pride event recap. I'm telling you, I had an amazing time this weekend as we had the Pride Parade and all of those lining up along Sheridan Road, and certainly the festival event down at our beach area. I think the organizers did a magnificent job of organizing, planning, and just making sure that everybody was included and had an amazing time. So to Waukegan friends, you did an amazing job this weekend, and I look forward to next year's event with you. Traffic enforcement program. There's a scheduled traffic enforcement program starting from June 1 through June 19th. It will be particularly in high visibility areas, and they will be including speeding, stop sign infractions, cell phone use, believe me, cell phone use, and I'm here to tell you I was one of them. I got one of those tickets too. So please be aware. Now, I want to make sure you understand the law. If you hold the cell phone in your hand, it is against the law while driving. Most of us, your cell phone connects to your vehicle. It was connected to my vehicle, but I held it in my hand, and it was visible for the officer to see. That's why I received the driving while texting, I think is the actual law of it. So I'm warning all of you now, if it's in your hands, you will get a moving violation. Just FYI for you. The areas of where it's going to be, I think we're looking at Green Bay Road between Grand and Belvedere, Sheridan Road between Blanchard Road and Glen Flora, Sunset Avenue between Green Bay Road and Lewis Avenue, Grand Avenue between Green Bay Road and Buttrick. All right, this used to be a fun time when I was a kid. City-wide hydrant flushing. Yes, absolutely. We were one of them, at least I was. You open them up. I think we did a neighborhood hybrid flushing, is what we want to call it then. But we're going to be doing hydro flushing. If I'm not mistaken, it should not affect your water pressure, so don't worry about that. But we need to make sure, any event that there's an emergency, that our hydrants are well pressurized and able to do what it's intended to. So be aware. So if you see the fire department or the water department out there flushing your hydrant, that's the reason why. Lawn maintenance ordinance. All right, folks, I don't really have to say this. Cut the grass. I think our ordinance, building commissioner, is at 8 inches. Anything, if your grass get up to 8 inches, you got some problems. All right? So we're certainly going to be out there looking for those. And there's nothing better than a nice manicured lawn. So please, please cut your grass and be in compliance of our city code. Storm drain dumping prohibited. This is interesting. Yard waste or household chemicals like paint, solvents, antifreeze, and used motor oil should never be disposed off into Waukegan stormwater system. Make sure we understand that. Yard waste or household chemicals like paint, solvents, antifreeze, and used motor oil should never be disposed into Waukegan stormwater system. The water collected by this system is redistributed into our local streams, rivers, lakes, and has the potential to contaminate our environment, local wetlands, and our water supply of fresh drinking water. Everybody, be cognizant of that. And if you see somebody, stop them. If not, call the necessary authorities, and we will, all right? That, I think, a lot of the things I said today, that's certainly one of them, particularly as it might go into our drinking water. That's all I have. With that being said, we have resolutions, proclamations, presentations, and appointments. 2A, Resolution 25-R-139, filming on the Amstads, June 21 through June 22nd, 2025. Can I get a motion on the floor? Motion by Alderman Newsom, second by?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bolton. Any questions to the motion? Madam Clerk, you'd like to read the resolution?
No.
No.
We don't need to, unless
Okay.
you want me to.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed and carried. Item B, motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Bolton, making May National Community Action Month. We've already given that to the organization. There's a motion on the floor in a second. Any questions to the motion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm just doing a voice vote because of this. Is that okay, everybody? All right. Item C, motion by Alderman Turner.
Alderman Turner makes the motion.
Motion by Alderman Turner, second by Alderman
Second.
Guzman.
Motion.
Okay. Alderman Guzman, recognizing the 250th birthday of the United States Army. Any questions? Comments? Happy birthday. Madam Clerk, would like to
Yes.
read the resolution, please?
Absolutely. Proclamation recognizing the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army. Whereas on June 14th, 1775, the Second Continental Congress, representing the citizens of 13 American colonies, authorized the establishment of the Continental Army. And whereas the collective expression of the pursuit of personal freedom that caused the authorization and organization of the United States Army led to the adoption of the Declaration of Independence and the codification of our country's basic principles and values in the Constitution. And whereas for the past 250 years, the Army's central mission has been to fight and win our nation's wars. And whereas the motto of duty, honor, country is the creed by which the American soldier lives and serves. And whereas no matter what the cause, location, or magnitude of future conflicts, Americans can rely on their Army to produce well-trained, well-led, and highly motivated soldiers to carry out the missions entrusted to them. And whereas several citizens in the Waukegan community have proudly served and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country's freedom while serving in the United States Army and other branches of our nation's military. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Samuel D. Cunningham, Jr. and members of the City Council do hereby commend the soldiers of the United States Army, past and present, and recognize the historic significance of June 14th, 2025, as the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army, and hereby expresses the appreciation of the citizens of Waukegan to the United States Army and to the dedicated soldiers who have served for 250 years, adopted the second day of June, 2025. And we do have a gentleman that will be accepting it, Captain Peter Carmen and Sergeant Marquez.
All right. Come on up. You wanna vote on that? All right, as they're coming, we'll do a vote on that. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed and carried. Thank you. Testing, testing. All right. Well, before I speak, always have our guest speak first. Who's going to do the honors today? There you go, sir.
Sir, Mayor, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to honor the United States Army's 250th birthday. This is a huge year for us, a very big milestone. So it's awesome to see the place that we work and live that it's being honored here. So thank you all so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there's not too many words that I can say, but I will say this. It's because of what you do allows me and everybody up here and everyone in this room to have the freedoms to do what we do. So on behalf of the mayor's office, city council, and all the citizens of the city of Waukegan, we say thank you, and we present you with your proclamation. Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Proclamation, June is Pride Month in the city of Waukegan. There's a motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Martinez. Any questions to the motion? Comments? All those in favor? Aye. Motion's passed and carried.
Proclamation, June is Pride Month in Waukegan. Whereas our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, yet the fulfillment of this promise has long in coming for many Americans. And whereas the city of Waukegan cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom. And whereas all are welcome in the city of Waukegan to live, work, play, and every family in any shape deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas in a time when our LGBTQIA+ residents face ongoing challenges in being their authentic selves, the city of Waukegan remains steadfast in its commitment to dignity, inclusion, and the celebration of every individual's right to live openly and with pride. And whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community is an integral part of the cultural landscape in Waukegan, and whereas the diverse LGBTQIA+ community contributes to the academic, economic, artistic, and social foundation of the city, And whereas communities across the United States and the world designate June as a month to commemorate the Stonewall riots that occurred in June 1969, which are widely recognized as a catalyst for LGBTQIA+ rights movement. And whereas the landmark Supreme Court decision of 2015 guaranteeing marriage equality in all 50 states was a historic victory for LGBTQIA+ Americans and continues to affirm that we are all more free when we are treated as equals. And whereas the City of Waukegan remains committed to protecting the civil rights of the LGBTQIA+ community in an effort to help eradicate prejudice and discrimination and foster a better sense of understanding and compassion to all residents and visitors. And whereas the City of Waukegan embraces Pride Month as an opportunity to celebrate the harmony in which we coexist, and whereas the City of Waukegan recognizes the significant impact, direct investment, and the pride in Waukegan by the LGBTQIA+ community. And now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Cunningham and members of the City Council of Waukegan, Illinois, do hereby proclaim June 2025 as Pride Month to recognize the ongoing efforts and continuing contributions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender communities in our city and beyond, and encourage all residents to respect and honor our diverse community and celebrate and build a culture of inclusiveness and acceptance, adopted the second day of June 2025. And we have with us tonight the Waukegan Friends, Greg Brown, and your entourage.
Okay, everybody here? All right. I want to thank you, Mayor Cunningham, and the entire City Council for your support. In 2020, we founded this organization. It is an organization based not on our own community and the LGBTQ+ community, but also for the Straight Alliance. For without that, we would not even be here today. That's one of the biggest things that we have in our organization is to build community from within, and that includes everybody. So you will notice that quite a few of our board members identify as straight, and that's the mix that we want to have. 50% of our members in our organization identify as straight, and that builds community, which is what we're all about. Thank you.
You're certainly keeping up the tradition of this community. We are a diverse, minority, majority community, and we love what you bring. And everybody, they threw an amazing parade and a great party afterwards. So I'm going to take some lessons from you. And plus, I got to ride on the back. Was it a 1962 Harry Kane? Nice. All right. So next year, bigger, better, brighter. There you go. Congratulations. On behalf of the mayor's office, our city council, all the citizens of Waukegan, we say thank you and happy Pride Month in Waukegan, Illinois. Yes, sir. Amen. Come on this side. Way it out. There you go. Me and Greg, Greg and I are going to be in the middle. There you go. Uh-oh.
And sir, that concludes the resolution proclamations presentations. We are on to audience time. Where'd Dave Mountley go? Oh, I need the audience. Thank you. Okay, we're on to audience time. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hold on.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we have a few people here tonight. Hold on, I'm trying to get this thing. I'm going to call the first 5 people. I'm calling to call the first 6, and only 6. Rayon Edwards, Brother Blanks, Vanessa Burns and Amy Grossman, Diane Verratti, Margaret Carrasco, and Karina Garcia. That's Rayon Edwards, Brother Blanks, Vanessa Burns, and Amy Grossman, Diane Verratti, Margaret Carrasco, and Karina Garcia. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, community, mayor, and council persons. My name is Rayon Edwards. I hope you all are having an amazing evening. I want to address several issues tonight. Remember the word, urban development. The budget. You all, the persons, has to do a better job. As I said earlier, you guys are the legislators. And tonight, my comments is about y'all. I don't see town hall meetings happening in my community. You guys are not communicating with your constituents. We are the people. We, the people, have elected you guys to speak on our behalf. And what I'm here to tell y'all tonight is y'all are doing a horrible job. And it's so horrible, it's starting to be deplorable. When you have these town halls, it gives us an opportunity to engage and ask questions and for us to have dialogue, for you to understand what we feel and how we feel and why we feel the way that we do. When we come to this podium, we have 3 minutes to get out our gripe and we never get a response back. Do better. As I'm looking at this budget, this is a lot of money. We're in a world right now of a lot of uncertain times. So I want us to be cautious on how we spend this money. I want us to have an opportunity to talk to the people, the taxpayers, and explain to them exactly what we're spending this money on. The other thing we talk about, Waukegan being a city of progress. Pastor, thank you for that tonight, but I'm going to challenge you tonight, sir. I want you and these other pastors to show more up at these meetings, because when we talk about Waukegan being a city of progress, there are more liquor stores, liquor licenses, bar and clubs than there are people. And so we can't progress like that. I don't see progress. And I'm tired of the pastors coming here just to pray, and then the next time we see y'all is doing politics and election time. The church is supposed to be a big voice for the underserved people, and the church is failing us. And I need us to do better, because I know God ain't talking about drinking no booze in the Bible. And I know y'all ain't having no booze after church on Sunday. Thank you. The other thing, we got an alderman up here on the front page of the newspaper for ex parte conversations. I'm saying to this council tonight, you guys need to investigate that. That is dangerous. And I received calls from residents, older residents, that is concerned. They're nervous and scared of coming here to speak out their concern because we're not doing nothing. Guzman, you've given people a bad taste, and a lot of people think it's you are connected somehow. And some may be fearful. I'm saying to all of y'all, y'all got to do better. Like a canola name keep coming up, tying up to a lot of y'all. It's not making a lot of sense. And when things keep being said, it's only for a reason. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brother Blanks.
Encore for our home telecast. The mic was cut last time or digital mistake or whatever. The last time I opened up, it was the 100th birthday anniversary of Malcolm X that we paid tribute to when I was here the last time, and also, as Brother Blanks, a Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. Also, I shared with you all our very first news publication, the Papyrus Sun. In the Papyrus Sun, I shared with you a very important quote of the issue: until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero. African proverb. In other words, it's imperative, it is imperative that we are self-determined to control our narrative and our news. Why is that so important? Because here in this Lake County area, as far as I know, there is not one, and with most of the local major newspapers, there is not one black writer, to my knowledge, male or female, stringer or full-time. That is a problem. If we don't have black writers, we do not have diversity and equity and objectiveness in telling our story, and even more so, it lacks integrity in many cases. In some cases, our stories are left out, so God bless the child and the people that have their own. So as I said, this is our edition. We're running it again. This is our second. It was our first paper. So this June edition, we felt that it was important to run it again. It was so nice, the first one, we ran it twice. And with a few edits and corrections, such as the edits and the correction, the update on our QR code. Our QR code is functional, so we took the time to do that. And so we have some papers for each and every one of y'all that is being passed out in the audience, and hopefully you get a chance to get one. And I would like to say, in this spirit of equity that we were speaking of, and fairness, inclusion, and as a veteran, as a 200th birthday anniversary, it would have been good, considering to see that many of our black veterans, time and time again, their stories have not been told, or in many cases, left out altogether. So to our soldiers that come here today after the 200th anniversary, it would have been good to see a reflection of both black, white, and Latino, so everybody is represented, because everybody served as a veteran, such like myself. So with that being said, thank you all for your time and attention, and enjoy our paper.
Thank you, sir. Vanessa Burns and Amy Grossman from the Waukegan Public Library.
Taking newspapers. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Good evening, Mayor Cunningham, City Council members, and guests. My name is Amy Grossman. I'm the Deputy Director of Waukegan Public Library, and I'm just here to share a few exciting updates from the library. Last week, we launched our summer reading program, which encourages community members of all ages to read, check out books, attend library programs, and earn really fun prizes along the way, including this year art supplies and free books to keep. Yesterday, we had about 200 people at our summer reading kickoff party, which featured a live reptile show, crafts, snacks, and family fun. If you really want to see some snakes, turtles, and lizards and kids touching them, check out our social media. It's pretty cool. Our summer's packed with events for all ages, weekly Friday concerts, as always, free daily lunches for kids, story time, STEM activities, crafts, tech programs, book clubs, our Ray Bradbury writing contest, and so much more. I'm also very, very excited to announce that our ongoing youth department remodel is almost done in its final stages of completion. It's absolutely beautiful. We are going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony at some point in July, so TBD on the date, but we hope you all join us for that very, very special event. I'm thrilled. It's going to be amazing for the kids. Check out our website, our e-news, to stay in the loop with everything going on at the library, and I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Burns. I'm the new Adult Services Manager at the library. I spent my early childhood in Waukegan. I went to St. Annie's, so it's really exciting and an honor to just come back and be able to serve the community in this way. So we've had a busy start of the summer. So last week we hosted a senior health fair with nearly 20 local organizations, about 100 attendants. What else? We are also looking forward to our job fair that's coming up in June 25th. first. So please come to that one. It's also going to be large. We also have a lineup of educational and entertaining adult programs. Check out our newsletter. It's also available online. That's what I just passed out to see all that we have going on this summer. I wanted to highlight our daily walk-in computer labs where we have dedicated staff available at a computer lab to assist whoever with whatever it is, whether it is a job resume, learning to type, accessing different resources that you can from the library. On top of that, we have our new maker space that is opening to the public for open hours. That includes a 3D printer, laser engraver, so much more, sewing, embroidery, and all these fun different devices you can use to create. And then also I wanted to announce our expanded partnership with Lake County's Digital Growth Initiative. They'll be hosting tech workshops and learn to earn classes where adults can learn or qualify for new laptops. So,
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we just wanted to say thank you. Come visit the library, sign up for summer reading, and thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Diane Verratti.
Award-winning public library. Support it. Good evening, Mayor Cunningham and members of the City Council. At the last meeting, Alderman Felix announced the opening of 2 restaurants in the 4th Ward. It is always great to hear that businesses are coming to Waukegan, providing more choices for those of us who live here and helping to make our city more attractive to others. I want to let you know about another eatery that's been open for several months. It's Post Marketplace at 224 Washington Street between Genesee and County. I work in Gurnee, but I've made it a habit to stop there at least once a week for one of their delicious breakfast sandwiches and excellent coffee. They offer a variety of bagels, pastries, as well as sandwiches and salads for lunch. They're open Monday through Saturday, and I encourage you to support them. Their parking situation is tricky. I've spoken to Alderman Felix, and I'm hoping that it may be possible to provide short-term parking, possibly in the 3 spaces directly in front of the cafe. I believe this could really help their business, and they didn't give me any money to talk about this. I pay them when I eat. On another note, my husband and I visited another favorite eatery, you know what I like to do, after the always inspiring ceremony at Veterans Plaza. Dockside ice cream has long been a favorite, and it's always worth a trip. We drove around to the beach and found it nearly deserted. We saw one brave family under an umbrella and an even braver paraglider out over the lake. The wind chill had to be in the 30s. It was freezing. The beach, however, looked absolutely wonderful, pristine and so inviting. Lisa May, our beach coordinator, and her team of beach rangers work hard to welcome the hordes of people who will visit our beach one of these days when the weather is more appropriate for bathing suits. I've been especially impressed by the accessible pathway from the parking lot down to the lake that's been available for the last couple of summers. My husband has mobility issues, and I'm always happy to see evidence of planning for people of all abilities. I can just imagine the excitement of a child or adult who is able to enjoy our beach and lake without barriers. This is one of the reasons I love my city. Lisa May, thank you for your oversight of one of Waukegan's most valuable resources. You've taken on a big challenge, and you've done an outstanding job. So eat at Post Marketplace, buy ice cream at Dockside, and go to the beach and the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Verratti. Margaret Carrasco.
First of all, Waukegan Library staff member, she left, she's just awesome. She really is. Bravo to the Pride Parade and Festival in Waukegan. For those persons that missed it, wow, beautiful weather and beautiful people. And I've been in hundreds of parades since a young child, but never. There were so many people along the route that were so friendly that we got to talk to. And the #1 question, Mayor, was, where are the horses? I promise that this year for Fiestas Patrias, we will have the most beautiful and awesome dancing horses. In addition to this, we're gonna make history, because some people don't know the LGBTQ community was denied from participating in the Fiestas Patrias parade last year. And that's insulting. They will participate this year, full force, and we welcome them. Next, want to thank Chief Navarro for speaking at our community meeting about the license plate reader cameras. He was very direct, honest, answered tons of questions. The community really felt it was beneficial. And lastly, ever since the mayor, Sam Cunningham, has won, there's just so many people that want to open a business in Waukegan. It's awesome, okay? However, we still have a rock blocking them. According to your own city employees, they allege there exists a conspiracy between Planning Development Noel and George Bridges. If you look at the data and the dates, when they applied, when permits were approved, those projects that were somehow attached to George Bridges got approved lightning speed. The number of requirements were zilch compared to everyone else. So if you didn't do a deal with him, guess what? They didn't care about you. And so many businesses lost millions and millions of dollars, and that is a criminal investigation. I'm sure can easily be proven, okay? And the last thing is that one of those individuals, as we know, Bridges is gone. And if you really want Waukegan to be successful with the local businesses, the other needs to go too. And I'm talking about Noel, okay? We'll do a petition, we'll do a move on, I mean, whatever, but the data will prove it, and it's really very sad because those bridges, and we have some businesses here, they're victims of this conspiracy.
Thank you, Ms. Carrasco.
Making money off of them.
Thank you. Karina Garcia? Karina Garcia? Yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Karina Garcia. My husband is Luis Rodriguez. We are the owners of Liga's branch on 10th Street. We are one of the members that... Oh, okay. Okay. We're here because we are one of the people who were like on the waiting list to be approved for the permits. It almost took us 4 years. To be approved, we were paying the lease and everything, so it's been really hard for our family. I just want to say that we want to bring the best to our community, and please be fair to people who want to bring good things to the community and facilitate the permits, because it hurts the families like it hurt us, because this took us our family savings. And I just want to say thank you to the community, because we have been getting support. People have been coming and having breakfast. It's a brunch restaurant, so they've been supporting. So this is how we've been.
We've been working really hard to open this place. 4 years with everything. And right now, we have a big down right now. And we're trying to grab our business. So the only thing is we are asking, be fair with the people who put you there. We work, we have 4 kids. We've been going through really hard time right now. So that's why we are here, because we're just asking you to be fair. It's the only thing, because there's people like us trying to, get something better for the families, and we can't. We call the city many times. And it's always something stopping us from open restaurant. even when they approve some things, already have those things in place, they go back and make us take it down. And they just say, if you don't do it, you don't open. And they turn around and let us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mayor, that concludes the audience time.
What is your address? What it,
We would like, I'm sorry, we would like to do the ribbon cutting since we tried to do it with the past administration and never received a
Never
call.
answer. It's 804 10th Street.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mayor, that concludes audience participation.
All right, item 4, consent agenda. Motion,
So moved.
motion by,
second.
okay. Motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Guzman to approve in one motion the consent agenda as followed. I will read those. Motion to approve regular meeting minutes from Monday, May 19th, 2025. 4B, motion to approve vendor payments dated June 2nd, 2025, in a total amount of $2,194,950.70. 4C, motion to approve and ratify regular payroll dated May 30th, 2025, in a total amount of $2,092,752.65. 4D, motion to approve and ratify miscellaneous payroll, fiscal 25, cash out via cash out dated May 16th, 2025, in a total amount of $392,980.35. 4E, motion to approve and ratify miscellaneous payroll, PD, HBB, and CT cash out and final payout dated May 30th, 2025, in a total amount of $83,188.75. Are any questions to the motion? Alderman Turner.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm just curious. I saw in the payroll a line item for Dr. Michael Reed, who was a chiropractor. What's his role? What's his position here at City of Waukegan that he would be on the payroll?
Now that, I'm sorry, but I do not have that question for you. If you'd like to take that out.
Yes, sir.
And then, so that, you have the dollar amount?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have some guidance from corporate counsel. What we're going to do is just remove that from the consent agenda and then approve everything else outside of that, okay? Yes, sir. Well, I'm sorry, we have one?
Mayor, I'm not sure if that's Michael Reed that works.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
our
we
Michael
have
Reed,
a Michael Reed
police
on
officer.
payroll.
Okay, that's police officer. I'm sorry.
Police officer.
That's an
Reed.
employee. That's an employee
Great.
of the city, Mike.
Thank you. That
We don't
clears
call
the-
him Michael, we call him Mike Reed.
Mike Reed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
clears
here it
that up.
is.
Thank you.
Mike Reed, yeah.
It's $3,734.60.
That's his payroll, yeah.
All right,
he's-
great. Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah, we're good. I'm sorry about it. That's, I know his government name is Michael, but we call him Mike around here. That's what everybody knows him as, Mike Reed. Before we go there, motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Turner to seat Alderman Donaldworth. Any questions to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The consent agenda, as presented.
I got,
Alderman Guzman.
what happened with the inquiry that happened about last time about the $24,999?
We did an inquiry about it, and that just didn't happen.
Payout for $24,999?
No, sir.
Didn't happen?
Juan, are you here? I know you weren't here last week for that one. We did not pay out $24,999 on that particular payroll, which would have been May. What we did discover, though, I want to make sure, we discovered payments prior to that happened, I think, like
In 2023.
2023, there was three separate payments that happened, Alderman. But for that particular payroll, there was not an exact $24,999 paid out to that particular person. But that person did receive 3 different paychecks. Is that correct?
Yes, in 2023.
In 2023.
He was still employed at that time, wasn't he?
I'm sorry?
He was still employed at that time,
I think it was a contract.
Yeah,
It was-
okay.
It was a contract. He was a contract worker, so.
My next question is final payouts. I keep seeing this the last, 4 or 5 councils. What is that for? Because I didn't see that before, and now it's happening all the time.
Juan, I'm gonna give a stab at it. Typically, when a final payout, so when an employee leaves the city, he or she leaves the city, there is a final payout. So that's why it says final payout of that person's payroll, which includes sick and vacation time along with their last salary.
Okay, thank you.
Do it right, Juan? All right. Any other questions?
I hate to belabor.
Alderman Turner.
Yes, sir, thank you. I hate to belabor it, and it's not a question, more of a statement. It confounds me how we put ourselves in a position to approve a payment that was made 2 years ago. $24,999.99 was paid 2 years ago, and here we approve it. I just don't get it. I'm not faulting you, Mayor. I'm not
No, it wasn't.
criticizing,
I want to be
but-
clear.
Yeah.
It
Wasn't Alderman Turner?
I got it, everybody. I want to just clear it up. There was not a payment or a check cut for that amount and that payroll. What I was explaining is, if you look at the 3 times that that person was paid, it added up to that dollar amount. But on that payroll, and which is the first of May, I think, May 5th payroll, or May 19th payroll, there was not a check cut.
I understand that.
Yes.
I understand that.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Why are we approving something that we paid 2 years ago?
We aren't. We
What did
aren't.
we approve? What did we vote on?
No, Alderman,
was
it was
not.
never a accounts payable for that dollar amount for that person.
Even
Never.
Margaret admitted that it wasn't that day.
All right. listen,
See,
every-
she's saying
Right.
it's not that
I
day.
don't want to belabor it.
Okay,
And
believe me,
that's
it was
why I
a-
brought it up. That's why Alderman Guzman brought it up, because there's confusion. How are we even talking about something that was 2 years ago, and we're taking a vote on it this year? But let's
agree.
continue. Thank
I
you.
agree. But it didn't happen. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Motion's passed and carried. Item 5, no reports and communication at this time. Item 6, old business. Motion by Alderman Hayes.
No.
Okay.
I'll motion.
Motion by Alderman Guzman, second by Alderman Felix.
Second.
6A, ordinance approving a development and final incentive agreement between and among the City of Waukegan, Waukegan Community Development Partners LLC, 200 North County Sears, and 38 North Genesee LLC, and authorizing the issuance of a long-term incentive note pursuant to the terms of the memorandum of key terms approved in resolution number 25-R-33. Any questions to the motion?
Mayor, if I may.
Alderman Turner?
Yes, sir. Particular to this, but also particular to every line item on here, there's a number of expenditures being made or proposed to be made, but there's no money listed on any of these line items. How much, how much, how much, how much? Just as we did in the preceding consent agenda, every line item had a dollar amount associated with it. So in this one, I'd like to, if we can go through each line item, and call out how much money is being voted to spend, I would appreciate that. Otherwise, we can proceed with the vote. I just won't vote for it. And you know, Sam, I know you haven't been here for 4 years, but this is something that that I've been talking about many meetings. This is a commonality, so I'm not faulting you or anyone.
No,
I'm just calling it out. And the reason I do this is not only for my edification and the edification of fellow council members, but more particularly for the edification of our public, for our taxpayers. They are entitled to know what these are. Maybe it's in the attachments on board docs, but we have an agenda here that is being presented to the public. They're in receipt of it. They come in, they get the agenda, they're following the meeting, and they don't know what's going on. They can't. So this
Okay,
is what
and
I'm asking.
I certainly agree, and we'll certainly start making those corrections by making sure that if there is expenditure to be made, to make sure that dollar amount is attached to the agenda. But to your point, they are a part of board docs, and I know sometimes we see them and others, we ask others to do that, but for transparency, I think you're absolutely right on that, and we'll make sure we make those corrections, okay? With that being said, the Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a number of questions about this agreement, although I just wanted to let you know, I think it probably makes sense to have Mr. Weiss present, and then maybe some of the questions are answered, but maybe at the end of it, I could raise some of my concerns.
No problem, I got it. We have a motion on the floor. We have some comments. Stu, why don't you go ahead with some of your remarks, and then maybe that might answer some of the questions that are out there.
Thank you, Mayor Cunningham. Members of the City Council, slightly different position for me today, physically, and also kind of figuratively. So we're continuing to work as special counsel on this matter because we started this, and Corporation Counsel has asked us to continue and kind of bring this one home. There was a presentation, if Mr. Hill, if you could bring up the presentation that we had for item 6A, old business. While we're waiting for that, I can start. There we go. Okay, wonderful. Can we go to like oh, there we go. Beautiful. Okay. Go to the next slide, please. So just to give a quick timeline of this, this is the result of a process that started way back in 2023, I believe, where we had the development team, the Waukegan Community Development Partnership, whose members are here today. We have Sam Yingling, Lowell Jaffe, and Nikki Shook, came and presented a vision for the revitalization of a number of different properties along the Genesee corridor. Through various discussions with staff and then also with the City Council and the prior administration, the development team narrowed their focus down to what is being referred to as Phase 1A. Phase 1A consists of two properties, 200 North County, the former YMCA building, and 38 North Genesee, which is a former restaurant. Someone can remind me which restaurant that was. Okay. And so this project consists of the rehabilitation of both of those properties with similar uses. Mixed use, but with residents on the top and some commercial or flex space on the bottom floor. The total between the two properties is going to generate 26 new market rate units, and then also specifically on the 38 North Genesee, a new restaurant space. On March 17th, 2025, the City Council approved Resolution 25R71. Oh, sorry, let's back up. February, you approved a resolution with a non-binding memorandum of key terms that defined that project, which I just summarized, and then it authorized financial and other incentives, which I will get into in the next slide. On March 17th, the prior council adopted a resolution allocating $900,000 from casino gaming revenues for the upfront development assistance portion of the financial incentives. Today, what we brought back to you is an expanded development agreement. Corporation Counsel can probably speak to this as well, but when you're dealing with an incentive of this scope, it is very typical to have a very detailed document that sets out the obligations of both the developer and the city. In this case, the developer is going to be conducting this project in accordance to certain plans and certain requirements to operate these buildings in a certain way, and then in exchange, they will get the financial incentives, which we're going to go through in the next slide. But what I can tell you is that this agreement very much tracks what was previously approved in that memorandum of key terms. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so the parties, obviously the city, Waukegan Community Development Partnership, LLC, which they are going to be the entity that is the contract purchaser, plans to actually purchase the 200 North County building, and will be rehabilitating that. 38 North Genesee, LLC, is the current owner of the 38 North Genesee building and has commenced and done a lot of work in the building already. So basically, we have two development entities that we're entering into this partnership with. So, as I said, their proposal, 19 residential units in the 200 North County, plus 6,700 square feet of shared commercial space. Estimated project cost for the acquisition and redevelopment of 200 North County, $3.7 million. They're requesting $1.725 million in incentives. All of the incentives, all of the grants, the TIF note, all of that will be going towards the 200 North County property. It's a larger property. It's going to have the larger acquisition costs. It's also going to be the more challenging one to rehabilitate and renovate. 38 North Genesee will also be delivering 6 residential units plus 3,000 square feet of commercial retail space on the first floor. Smaller project cost, $1.6 million. The key thing here is that the property tax increment that's going to be generated from this property will actually go to help pay for the incentives that are being given to the 200 North County project. Next slide. Okay, so here's what the city is offering. Upfront financial assistance for $900,000. $900,000 basically to get this project going. It's going to help with the acquisition. It's also going to help with the renovation of the existing property. Both of those are eligible costs under the tax increment financing law. You'll remember my colleague Greg and I gave you a whole song and dance where we explained tax increment financing, that basically it is an incentive that should pay for itself over time as these properties gain value from being rehabilitated, from being occupied both by tenants and businesses, and that the difference in the property taxes as the properties are assessed at a higher and higher value, that difference will help pay for these incentives. In this case, the upfront financial assistance is being paid in advance from the casino revenue. This is a kind of a, I'm not going to say a risk. It is something that this is the first developer to step forward in downtown to really take their own risk on these properties. And so the city is saying, we're not going to make you wait for this incentive. We're going to give you the $900,000 up front. Also, there's the long-term financial incentive, which will be paid for out of the TIF, $825,000. It'll be, as I said, paid for from property tax increment. That note will not actually be issued. The city will not have to start paying out on that until a certificate of occupancy has been issued for 200 North County. They have to complete and deliver the project before that TIF note is even going to be issued. You'll authorize it tonight, but finance will not have any obligation to issue that promissory note until that building has a final certificate of occupancy, which means they can have tenants in there, which means they could, that property will generate new property taxes. There were some additional incentives that were authorized by the City Council, a waiver of building permit and inspection fees for the entire project. I believe that we determined that the cost of that was, I think it was around like $42,000. If you actually looked at like the cost that would normally be paid out, that cost was, City Council authorized that to be waived. There was also, because neither of these properties have on-site parking, the City Council directed that 19 parking passes in the city's 225 North County parking garage be provided at a discounted monthly rate of $35 for 5 years. So at least those units could have the opportunity to park at a discounted rate. And then finally, that the city would make good faith efforts to extend the life of TIF 8, which I cannot remember if it has 13 or 14 years, Noel? 14 years left in its life. If for some reason the incentive hasn't been paid out, the easiest thing that the city could do was to continue the life of the TIF so that increment could be paid out over time. However, that requires legislative action by the Illinois General Assembly, and that's not something that we can contract as the city to say that we can do this. We can make best efforts and hope that the General Assembly will go along with it. Okay, next slide. So this is probably the most important thing for the City Council, is that we have built in the following protections for the city. The city is offering a not ungenerous, in other words, it is a big incentive for this project. And so what the prior administration and what Mayor Cunningham have directed us to do was to build in specific protections to make sure that the city gets the benefit of this project. And by the benefit of this project, that means that it gets 26 market rate apartments and usable commercial space, that they build what they say they're going to build, and that they operate it as they say they're going to operate it. First big one, market rate covenant, that there will be one or more covenants. A covenant is a promise that you make about how your property is going to be operated, and you record it against title. And if it's violated, someone can come in and say you violated this and take you to court. In this case, the covenant will be to the city. These covenants will say that the 26 residential apartments may only be offered at a market rate. Now, what is a market rate? That's going to depend from time to time. That's going to change over time. And we're going to have to work out that language with their attorneys. But the point is that these cannot be used for subsidized, these cannot be used as affordable homes, that these have to be offered as market rate. With the upfront development assistance, the developer must provide the city, so we're going to be giving $900,000 to help kick off this project. Before that check is written, the developer will need to provide proof that they own the property, proof that they have sufficient financing to finish the construction of the rehabilitation of 200 North County. They need to provide a detailed sources and uses of funds. Where are they getting the money? What is the different components of their financing? Or how many layers there are to it? And then what cost will those funds be attributed to? All the money, both private and the cities, will go into a construction escrow. Construction escrow is a special account maintained by an organization often like Chicago Title that will only distribute the money out as costs are incurred, and that there are specific instructions. This is extremely common practice in the construction industry, and what it ensures is that no one's taking the money and running south of the border. So the concept is that that every dollar of private financing gets a dollar of public financing. They don't get to spend the city's money first. It goes one for one. The long-term TIF incentive. How is the city protected on this? TIF note doesn't bear interest. So although it is an obligation that the city will pay out over 14 years, they will only have to pay $825,000 at the most. There is no interest, and that is a common restriction that municipalities will put on to ensure that they are not basically paying, they're not acting like a bank, or it's not acting like a loan. The sole obligation for the life of the TIF will be paid from tax increment generated by the 2 development parcels. And if the market covenant is violated, if these apartments are no longer habitable, and the covenant is in any way violated, and there's going to be a process for determining that, we can cancel this obligation. We don't want to do that. The point is that the key obligation of the developer is to deliver market rate units that satisfy the vision that this administration and many administrations prior have put forward for downtown Waukegan, which is a vibrant place where professionals can live. They can go to the Genesee Theater, they can generate restaurant, they can create walking traffic, they can either work in one of the offices downtown or they can get on the train. But the idea is that those are the type of residents that we need to have, and that's the type of residents that we're willing to actually incentivize. Finally, the city will actually have a second position lien that the city can foreclose on. They will be after the primary mortgage, but the city will have the ability to foreclose if the developer's obligations are not satisfied with regard to the construction and maintenance of the property. I believe that's my last slide. That's, once again, I'm dumping a lot of information on you, but I would emphasize that this deal is is basically point per point what had been previously approved by the City Council a few months ago. If you have any questions, let me know. The developers here are here as well.
Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Mayor. That was a great summary, Skip. Stu, I appreciate that. I do have a couple questions, though. I know at one point we were told with TIF district properties that there's a requirement that it be put out for bid. So are we violating that part of the TIF ordinance or law or whatever it is from the state by doing this?
Great memory. In this case, that doesn't apply. That is in the case where the municipality owns property in the TIF district and is then selling it. So often in blighted areas, you'll have like a city or a village that has bought up a bunch of property and it's downtown. There's a TIF district. It can't just flip that to any developer. In this case, both of these parcels are privately owned. They're under contract from one private entity to another private entity.
Got it. That helps. And I toured the Genesee Street facility, and I know it's finished now. They had a ribbon cutting. So does that affect this? I mean, it's already done. So why are we giving an incentive for a property that's already done?
The interesting aspect of this is that you're not actually giving incentives for the construction of that. The reason that that building is included in is because the developers have said, we rehab that kind of as a good faith project, and we'd like the increment generated from it to help pay for the long-term incentive. Noel can tell you that the city has had a long-standing policy that TIF incentives really are only paid for by the increment generated by the property being redeveloped itself. This is a special case where they've said we have this related property by the same entity, by an affiliated entity that is going to generate increment. We'd like that to support our larger project.
Okay, and one last question. On the bottom, the second position lien, would that mean we would then own the property?
Yeah, and it's, and the mayor and Noel and I talked about it. That's a worst case scenario, but it is a scenario where at least you get control over the property. What is likely going to happen is that that you're going to have the first position mortgage. They're going to want to sell the property to someone who will finish the project. In the case that that doesn't happen, we are standing in line where we can take that and ensure that we're not losing the benefit of that $900,000 upfront and that $825,000 long-term obligation.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very helpful.
Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good questions, Alderwoman Florian. Thank you. Stu, thanks for the presentation. I'm just going to make some general comments, and then maybe we can dig into them. Some of the red flags I saw when I went through the agreement are, First and foremost, 38 North Genesee LLC is not a registered company with the Secretary of State, as far as I could tell. If I'm getting that wrong, that seems to me that we'd be contracting with an entity that we could never go after. So it seems like we're starting off on the wrong foot. Again, I searched it a couple different ways, just didn't see it. I know it's something that can be corrected fairly quickly. Nonetheless, it's a red flag. Second, future development plans. We don't actually know what this is going to look like. We're writing a $900,000 check, and all we know is that we're going to get 19 apartments. I would love to see the building done. I would love to see it at the caliber at which these guys operate, because they do a good job. But we're writing a check without having reviewed anything, any part of the plans for the building. That seems to me like it's a big risk, and I'm surprised that they don't have architectural plans or some sort of rendering for what these apartments are going to look like, how many bedrooms they'll have, how many bathrooms they'll have, where if it's ADA compliant, any of that stuff. We don't know what we're getting for our upfront $900,000. A bank doesn't give you $900,000 without plans. A bank doesn't give a company $900,000 if it's not registered with the state. We would be taking on a boatload more risk than a bank would take, and it doesn't seem like that's a good gamble. And what I want to do, and I should have prefaced this in the beginning, is I want to see this project succeed. I'm not trying to be a roadblock, but I feel like even if we vote in favor of this tonight, that everyone needs to be aware of what we're signing up for. We spent a lot of time before talking about the TIF on the back end and if the city has to write a check, but before we even get that far, I think we need to look long and hard about where our money's going and how quickly we're writing this check. So that's the future development plan. I think it's on page section 3B of the agreement. It's a 51-page agreement, so if anyone's interested in following along, that's what's going on there. We don't actually know what we're getting. We don't know what the landscaping plans are. We don't know what anything is. And as far as I could tell, based on my reading of this, we don't actually get to vote on any of those plans anyway. We just need to vote on the money, but we don't actually know what we're getting for the money, based on my reading of the agreement. So nothing else comes before the city council. That's concerning. This is a big development in downtown. I don't know that we need to micromanage the project, or even manage it for that matter, but we should know where our money's going and what we're getting for it. Former corporation counsel did a good job of kind of ironing out some of my other questions. The dollar for dollar draw, that certainly alleviates some of my concerns that I had before about how we know how the money's going to be managed and how it's going to be released. However, what's the paperwork going to look like? How are we going to know that they paid $1 out of private financing and then we should give them one of our dollars? How do we know? Yes, a third-party title company is going to do that, and they ensure, they go through and they look at the documents, but someone needs to approve the documents before it gets there. So someone from the city of Waukegan needs to verify that $1 was spent by private financing and what it was spent on. Did it just go for a general management fee? Did it go for lumber? Did it go for tile? How was it spent? And do we have a document? I may be getting this wrong, but they're typically referred to as waivers of lien, where someone signs them, they are notarized, and many people are on the hook throughout the process for verifying that these numbers are accurate. I would want to see those documents come to City Council before we release money out of the escrow to verify the truth of what they're saying. It's common practice. I'm certainly not calling you guys liars. It's just a common practice in the construction industry. The bigger question, or maybe it's equally as important, is who in the city is going to take on this responsibility? Our departments are already taxed. I know later on tonight we're going to have a discussion about whether we should hire more people as part of the budget, but I don't know if it's someone in the building department or it's someone in the mayor's office or if we're hiring a contractor, what that looks like. But what I can tell you for sure is it's going to take a lot of hours and as a result a lot of resources that are not being otherwise allocated to other parts of the city. To me, it seems like a valid concern that we need to have somebody, for lack of a better phrase, kind of babysitting what's going on. And I want to make sure that we have a plan for that in place so that things aren't slipping through the cracks, we're not holding up their project, and things can move seamlessly, and everyone knows what's going on. So those are some of my big concerns as it relates to the draw on the $900,000. The building fees being waived, I get and I support the fact that we have to help first movers, those willing to come downtown and those willing to develop, to give them some incentives. But back to my prior concern, who at City Hall is going to utilize their resources and their departments to monitor this project? We're waiving all the building fees that are typically used for those resources. So I guess stated another way, the permit fees and the building fees and all the costs that come along with that are how we pay the salaries of the people that then verify these projects are going according to plan. And if we're not collecting any money on this, it seems like we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. I'm open to another workaround, but given, I think, the amount of time that it's going to take to verify the process, we should have something to at least cover our costs. That's another concern of mine. Something I raised before was the lack of a personal guarantee. The agreement specifically states in Section 15A that there is no individual person that is on the hook for any sort of guarantee or any sort of assurance that the money's going to be used for what we say it's going to be used for, or what they say it's going to be used for, and there's no one that will be held to account. There will be entities, which I expressed before concern. I hate to be such, a doomsday person here, but you have to think about the worst case scenario. We want the best case scenario, we got to think about the worst case scenario. But we will be left chasing our tails if we have to go after LLCs, especially if they're not registered LLCs. But we will be left chasing our tails if we have to go after different LLCs or a series LLC, which is made up of other LLCs. So that's a concern that I have, is that no one's willing to just put their name on the document and say, I stand behind this. And it seems to me, if you want taxpayer dollars, you should at least be able to sign your name at the bottom of the page and say, yes, as an individual, I take some responsibility. Parking, I'm fine with an incentive for a parking plan. I just want to make sure that the cost is being passed on to, or the people that move into the apartment are not going to be paying 3 times the amount of the incentive that we're giving them. It should be $35. If they're moving into the apartment, they should pay $35 for the parking. I don't think that they should negotiate a discount with us and then go profit off of it. I don't even know if that's what they're planning to do. It's just something that popped into my mind when I was reading the agreement. So, last item, I recognize there's a lot here. Last item is the TIF. I get that the TIF can be extended. In all likelihood, it would be extended if the state agreed. It's outside of our control. But again, thinking about the worst case scenario, if the TIF is not extended and they have not met their increment, if their billings have not generated the tax revenue that goes into those accounts, we have to write the check. That's how it's drafted. The city council pays for whatever the difference is in that $815,000 that they didn't get back from the TIF. I doubt it's the full $815. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's nothing. But thinking about that worst case scenario, we could be writing a check for $500,000, and there's nothing we can do about it. If we agree to that tonight, or whenever we vote on a final agreement, that is something we really have to think long and hard about. And yes, it's 12 years down the road, or maybe even longer, but at some point, we're going to have to address a potential shortfall. And we just have to be prepared for it.
Alderman Hayes, if I could just, I'm definitely not contradict, but clarify that the way the agreement is written is that $825 long-term incentive would either be paid out over time. If there is a balance left over, there are a few options. The TIF can be extended and it can be continued to be paid out. But as I said, the decision to extend the TIF doesn't just impact this property. It's a larger question, has to be approved by the General Assembly. So then the option is you almost have like a balloon payment. Whatever amount is left. Could be $5,000, could be larger. But there's the option to pay it out either from increment that is remaining in TIF 8 at the end of its term, or from an adjacent TIF. You can pay out qualifying redevelopment project costs from contiguous TIFs. In Waukegan, that would mean TIF 7 or TIF 9 as well. But as we know, as you guys went through the whole revenue allocation plan, there's a lot of projects, especially along the lakefront, that, it's not like there's going to be a lot of money sitting in those that is going to be unaccounted for.
Thank you, Councilor. Yes, we could rob Peter to pay Paul by pulling from one TIF and satisfying our obligation under the other TIF. I lied a minute ago when I said that was my last concern. The fact that we're taking a unique scenario here, as Mr. Weiss said, is that we're using 2 properties to, the increment from 2 properties is being allocated to 1 property. So 38 North Genesee and 200 North County. The increment generated from both of those will be used to satisfy, I believe, the 200 North County. One way to look at this, or one way to frame it, is there's not enough confidence that 200 North County could generate the increment needed, so we're going to take the increment from 38 North Genesee. And I'm sure that can be contradicted a couple of different ways. But if you don't have enough confidence that you're going to generate the increment from the one property, then why would we agree to this? Why should we have to allocate two properties to pay the increment on one property? It just doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't sound like it's something we've done in the past. So if I'm honest, I'm less concerned about that. I'm more concerned about our $900,000, how it's going to be managed, and what we're getting for it. And we don't know, as we sit here tonight, what we get. So I'll leave you with that.
Alderman Guzman, followed by Alderman Guzman, Alderman Felix. Alderman Guzman.
Okay, so I understand your concern. It sounds like very big. So when you're using 38 and then 200, and then you used it with the title company, that if they default, that becomes both our properties, or just one of the properties is ours?
The second position lien would be just on the 200 North County, because that's where the incentive is going to.
Okay, and then why are we in the second position instead of the first position?
Honestly, in discussions with the developers, their ability to get financing from a private bank that would take a second position, they have said that it would not be possible, and it is. I don't actually have much reason to doubt them. It would be very difficult to get a loan of the size that they're looking for from a private bank and say that you are standing behind another creditor.
And then my next question is, okay, so you just said earlier that if it just goes belly up, so they want to sell the building, or they try to sell the building, but then how do we get paid if they sell the building? By somebody else taking over the project, or by how, or what?
Yeah, so what would basically happen is if the project materially failed, if it ran into such trouble that it couldn't be completed or couldn't be occupied, they would likely default on their mortgage. The principal lender would foreclose on it, and then whatever money, when the principal loan, when that owner sold it to satisfy the judgment, if there was money left over, we would be in second position. We would get the seconds. Would we get the full $900,000 back? Depends on how much the property sold for.
So that's my next question. What is the property value after it's done?
Yeah, well, we'd have to look at what the appraised cost is. I think what was the yeah, that is the total project cost, $3.7 million. They can talk about what the actual cost of the land it is, but I can't give you that information. Maybe the developer can.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Felix, then Alderman Martinez. Alderman Felix.
A lot of the issues or concerns, a lot of the concerns that Alderman Hayes did bring up is the reason why we took this long, which I think is good. And then at the end, from what I see, Mayor came in and even ironed it up even more together with our firm currently and our previous firm. So in explaining a lot of what Alderman Hayes did is frame a lot of scenarios, but that's not necessarily the way it's going to be. Of course, it can. There are worst case scenarios, but that's not necessarily how it's going to be. And I would like for developers to kind of address some of those concerns. But in terms of the other property, the old Fong's building, I mean, these guys were willing to not wait for us. They just ended up buying the property and even put more towards that TIF. So that's something that they're doing on their end, that are wanting to work with the city and showing kind of a good faith. This is not about, of course, just hoping things will work out. We ironed it. We put a lot of stipulations on there. And this is a generous grant from the city of Waukegan, but this is also to people that are willing to also risk on their end as well. So, I just want to point that out there. And then you address the contiguous TIF that would address the, if we do have to, if we don't extend that TIF. So I want to point those things out.
I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. Alderman Martinez.
I just want to say, so the 900,000 is coming from the casino money, right? The first 900,000?
That was what was directed by the city council.
Okay, so that's cents tax. We've been at this for a long time, and I think that those buildings have been stagnant there. They've been not vacated for the longest. And I think that this is a step forward to get, at least to get the ball rolling. I mean, we've been going back and forth, and I've been seeing this for many years. That area is a little bit blighted, but I want it to succeed. My main concern is we fix it up and we make it look all, doll it all up. What is the guarantee that there's going to be occupancy? Because as we can see, that has happened. We get new buildings, but there's never nobody there to lease them or rent them. So that's my main concern. I don't want to get a brand new building and it's empty. What guarantee do we have, or what kind of marketing techniques do you have to attract people to want to invest in those apartments?
Mayor, could I make one more comment?
Alderman Hayes.
A few more. Thank you, Mayor. Okay. My previous comments were, I guess something I say to people that come up during audience time is offer a solution. You can read us the riot act all you want, but please offer a solution. So I didn't do that. It's probably worth an effort. This is not a motion to amend. I had thought about holding this over just so we had more time to read the document. I don't want to do that either because I would just want to get things moving one way or the other. But it seems to me that if the $900,000 is going to be approved, then maybe it makes sense before any of that money is released that we have final plans and drawings. We know exactly what's going on in that building, what it's going to look like, what the bedroom, everything I had outlined before. So if we have that, that makes me feel more comfortable at least. I don't think that's unreasonable. The contractors need to know what they're going to be doing, and we need to know how the money's going to be spent. So that's our roadmap. The waiver of the permit fees. We can all agree that somebody in city council is going to have to do the job of managing this on some level. So I would say no waiver of building and permit fees. I don't know what those numbers will be. Maybe somebody can estimate them for us, but maybe it's half. Maybe we say, all right, thanks guys for coming in. Thank you for being willing to be a first mover in this space or close to it. We'll give you a 50% haircut on the building and permit fees. Then we are not completely out the time and resources that go along with that. Then I would want to make sure, and this dovetails into what will be my last question, but I want to make sure the language is very clear on the documents that we're going to get before we release the money. So I just want to make sure that everyone is on board and it's very transparent what we're going to see before we approve any funds. And in an ideal world, we see a personal guarantee. So when you bought your house, you had to sign a personal guarantee? Go ahead.
Yeah. Finish your thought, and then I was just going to tell you two provisions that may address some of your concerns already.
Okay. All right, perfect. I just don't see the harm in the city asking to validate taxpayer dollars, taxpayers spending almost $1 million of casino funds that we could deploy to almost anything else in the city. If someone's not willing to put their name on the bottom of the document and say, I put my name on this, I represent, I'm going to do what is in this agreement, and you can come after me if you don't. We've all done it when you buy a house. You do it when you enter into a lease. You do it when you buy a car. It shouldn't be any different. We're spending taxpayer dollars, not money out of our pockets individually per se, but I think it's the most responsible move on behalf of the city. And we can go out and look people in the eye when they said, you spent $1 million on this and you didn't get what you wanted. Like, what's your recourse? What do you get to do? And we know we at least tried to hold their feet to the fire by having them sign the guarantees. So, I think that maybe those are some concessions that we can make that can keep this moving along, and I don't think we're asking too much. So those would be my proposed solutions. My last question is, we have this document. Are we getting another, even more detailed document that outlines? It sounds like there were references in this document to future documents, and I just want to know kind of when the process stops.
Yeah, so this is, okay, well, I will answer that question. I'm going to address 2 points that you made. One was the submission requirements prior to the disbursement of the $900,000 upfront assistance. So on page 13 of the agreement, it's section 7A1A sub D. This is a requirement before that $900,000 check is deposited into the escrow. Developer has submitted to the city's building department completed permit applications and final development plans, and provided executed construction agreements for the YMCA redevelopment. So the city, not necessarily the city council, but the building commissioner, the community planning would have the final development plans, which includes floor plans, elevations, site plans, landscaping. Those would all, the way this is written right now, would be approved administratively by staff. And there are preliminary plans, and you did note that there were some blanks in here. Those blanks, basically, we have plans. I just needed to verify what the date of those currently preliminary plans are. And I apologize that they weren't included in the packet. When you asked about the administration of the construction escrow, the administration of that would be pursuant to strict joint order escrow agreement, which is basically, it directs the title company on how they disburse the money and how they pay it out over time. That is currently set up to be approved by the city's corporation council. We didn't have a copy of that at this time because we don't have a title company to work with. You could say that that has to come back to the city council. I think that that would put an impediment on this moving forward. What you could ask is that Corporation Council report back and provide, maybe during a briefing, a copy of that and a summary to your satisfaction, rather than have it something that okay, I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone who has represented developers, and I'm definitely not representing this developer right now. I'm representing the city. But when a development agreement has a lot of look-backs built in, where they can go back to city council again and again and again, that makes it very difficult for a developer to be able to get financing, to have predictability. I'm not saying that you can't build those in. I'm saying that at a certain point, there's a matter of trusting staff. And so that's what I would suggest, and those terms that I just read to you are built in. With regard to coming back with the language of the covenant and things like that, that has not been finalized. And that's something that the developer would probably need to work out with their own lenders. And I would recommend that that also be reviewed by Corporation Council and reported back to the City Council. In a perfect world, would we have final plans? Would we have every single one of these documents? Yeah, that's, I think that there is an urgency to getting an up or down vote from the developers in this particular case.
Those are all fair. Thank you for that. I think my concern, thank you for pointing to the provision in the agreement, but we're voting tonight on allocating $900,000 to these guys, and we don't know what we're getting for it. And if we haven't seen it, that makes it a difficult pill to swallow, is kind of how I look at it. So I recognize that they will have it at some point. I don't know if it's the city that's paying for that and we're going to be billed for that cost, or how that's going to work, but I just want to know what we're buying. As it relates to management, the less this has to come back before City Council, the better. We are professionals at holding things up, but so I just want to make sure that all the language is very clear going forward so that there aren't any questions on it. So these are my concerns. I said I want to see the project succeed. I really don't like the TIF part. I don't like the fact that we're on the hook for writing a check at the end of this. I expressed that before. I tried to do a carve-out. It didn't pass. So that is one of my biggest hangups, that and the personal guarantees. So with that said.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank
can
you.
we call
We have one, so we have one more, Alderman Turner, then we call for the vote. Alderman Turner.
Thank you. Alderman Hayes, I just want to be, I'm not clear, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking for in terms of you want the drawings, the plans, the floor plans, the layout and so forth, because if they present, let's say they present a floor plan that you don't like, or someone up here, one of the 9 of us doesn't like, so that then we're going to force them to change it, we're going to review every aspect and oversee every aspect of their project? What specifically is that you're looking for that you think the council needs to?
Well, it's a good question. For example, tonight we voted on a variance at the Community Development Committee meeting, and we had pictures of the houses, the 4 houses, and all the elevations, and then they showed us how the driveway was going to have to be pushed 2 to 4 feet back. We knew what we were getting when we voted on it. I don't want to dictate the bedroom count. I don't want to dictate the floor plans and what kind of countertops they use. I just want to see pictures or like renderings of what we're getting in this building.
Mayor, I mean, we've already talked about this so many times. I mean,
I'm just addressing Alderman Turner's question. That's all it is. I'm not re-arguing the point. I've already said my piece on it. But listen, this is a lot of money, and we should take the time to talk to people. We got, we had somebody come up this evening and say, you guys need to be more transparent and explain to us your decision-making process and what's going on. That's all I'm trying to do.
All right, then. Everybody. We've heard arguments. It looks like this has been a long time coming. We're here. Thank you for that one. But I think it's been a long time coming for this one. Everybody's point has been duly noted. One thing I can assure you, from a staff standpoint, we're going to be on top of this. That I can assure you. As far as this being our first project, especially with this emotional building as the old YMCA, I think we need to go ahead and move on with that. And Alderman, I assure you, sir, I will keep you informed on all of these and work with both of our councils to make sure that our position in this project is protected as much as humanly possible, sir. But thank you. I mean, to be honest, you and I really were agreeing on some of these things if you have a chance to speak with Stu. So I hear you. We will certainly continue to be conscious of those. But I think as it stands right now, I believe that we just need to move on this and with the understanding that some of these parameters are going to be in place to protect the city of Waukegan. With that being said, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
For the reasons stated, I vote no, but I wish you all the success because I'm sure it will pass.
Bolton.
Aye.
Aye.
Guzman. Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am. Sir.
Motion's passed and carried. Thank you, Alderman, for good, healthy discussion. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, gentlemen. But I hope you heard the Alderman tonight, and certainly staff. Thank you. 7A, ordinance approving the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget of the city of Waukegan. There's a motion on the floor.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Guzman, second by Alderman Newsom. Any questions to the motion? Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of questions. This was a pretty fast turnaround. I know we got some feedback about the fact that there were no town halls held from the time we got the budget. We just got the budget on Tuesday at 5 p.m. We had the public hearing on Wednesday at 6 p.m., and then tonight we're voting on it. So in less than a week, and this is only part of the budget. The whole rest I left down in my car. That's about that thick. So I barely had time to go through it myself, let alone hold a town hall to explain it to my residents. So there was the public hearing on Wednesday. People could attend. I'm not excusing the fact that none of us held a town hall, but there just was no time. So I do have a couple of questions. The capital improvements are very large in this budget, and I think it's been acknowledged that they won't all get done in this year, correct? And I don't know who I'm asking these questions of.
No, ma'am. I mean, it's extremely large. I mean, you're talking 70 million and add another 6. it's impossible to get it done, so you're probably looking at a 4 to 5 year project.
Okay, so will the same numbers show up in next year's budget then, or is this the only time they'll be in the budget and they're just going to be spread out over the next 4 years?
Well, typically with these, whatever you do not use in this year's budget, then it would be a carryover. And I want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. Is that correct, Don? Owan? Yeah.
Okay, which has been done in the past, and then people complained that we were being not transparent and the budget wasn't really balanced and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, and will the engineering for this be done in-house, or are we planning on using a third party to do the engineering?
Both, some in-house and some a third party.
Okay. Switching gears, I know it says in here property taxes are not intended to be raised this year to balance this budget. What about next year? Do we know?
At this particular point in time, we do not. I mean, I've been doing this a very long time, such as you. As you know, let me tell you what I can do. I can assure you that the spending of our city, within our city government, will be in control. That I can assure you.
Okay.
What our revenues will look like this year and the following year, obviously, they're projections. And those projections we're pretty solid, we've been pretty on point with our projections. But to suggest that we might not or we will, I think it's pretty early. A mid-year assessment probably can determine if we're going to need those things, but part of my objectives, and I've already spoken to staff already, no more than 2%, period, or less.
Okay, well, I'm just concerned because of the timing of the way our budget and the elections are. We haven't raised taxes in 4 years. This will be 5 if we don't raise them again this December. But in December of '26, it's going to be right before the aldermen are up for re-election. And I sat here 6 years ago and watched the aldermen argue about not raising taxes because they didn't want it done right before their election. And so, I mean, I don't know how we keep not raising taxes. I don't want to raise taxes. I want us to live within our means as much as possible. But eventually, our employees get a raise every year. Things cost more every year. Eventually, it's probably going to happen, and the timing of it is going to be critical. And if we need it next year, but the aldermen don't want to do it because they're going to be up for election 4 months after they vote for it. Anyway, I'm just saying. I'm not telling you something you don't know. I know that.
Are you asking for a raise in taxes?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Alderman Floyd.
No. Do not say that.
I know that's right.
All right, so now I have a couple of questions about the numbers in particular. So one of the things I saw, there's a separate budget item for the mayor's office and city administration, which is kind of the same thing, but not exactly. And I saw that there was $60,000 allocated for part-time employees in the city administration, even though the number of employees is going up for city administration. So why do we need to even allocate money for part-time employees if we're going to have more employees to begin with?
The part-time employee.
Yeah, it said part-time employees, $60,000 was going to be allocated.
That might be for Alderman Morzio, a former Alderman Morzio. That's the only thing I know. Yes. No, that's not it could be. Only part-time employee that I will be within the mayor's office will be Mr. Morzio. Outside of that, that's it.
Okay, well, that does match, because I believe that's what I've been told his salary is for part-time work, is $60,000. Pretty good gig, but anyway. And then I saw that there's 2 assistant directors of finance listed under the finance document page, and then 1 under the treasurer's page. So we're now going to have 3 assistant directors of finance?
Well, you had 2 before.
Right, yeah. But now we'll have 3.
You don't have three. That's probably Joan Westfall. That's just her
That's
position.
the one under the treasurer.
Alderman, okay.
Hold a second.
They've changed Joan's title. She's still, okay, my employee. She's the deputy treasurer, okay? And they've changed the title that probably should have been changed under Motley when she came over.
Okay, but,
That clears up one. I can't speak to the other two.
so is there two assistant finance directors, Mr.? And has there always been?
Yes.
You want me to answer that? Because I was here, right?
No.
Yeah, we had one, okay. Sherry Martinez, longstanding. We didn't have a finance director. We had an interim, all right? Different things that person did and did for the last mayor, particularly the budget. We were about to lose Sean, okay? Excellent worker. Does a majority of the work in finance, and he was going to leave us. So the only alternative was to move him up. And so before we had a finance director, we had two assistant finance directors.
Okay,
That's
thank
how
you.
That's how it came about.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. My next question is
Alderman
about.
Florian, and I
Yeah.
want to put a pin right there. I want to be very, very clear. Those were the positions when I took office. I
Right,
want to be
and
clear.
he
All right.
explained that.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then I saw under the clerk's office, there was a line item for FOIA expenses of $100,000. And we voted a couple weeks ago to outsource the FOIA expenses. So I'm curious why we need a $100,000 line item in the clerk's office for FOIAs.
That is the contract.
Okay, well, it says
That's a contract.
100,000, and I thought we gave her 95,000. I mean, I know that's only $5,000, but that's a lot of money to me.
It was a 95,000, yes, that was given to the Witherspoon Legal, but we also have some outstanding money with La Luzerne, who's been wrapping up some items that came out of the mayor's office in the FOIA, who will be charging us for their work this month.
Okay.
And that's in the FOIA, and that's the money that's for them.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't exceed that, but that's what we hope.
All right, thank you for that clarification. And then I know during the presentation, which I came late to because of work, but I watched the whole video afterwards, and it was mentioned that there was $80,000 set aside for special events. I saw it in two places. I saw it both under public relations, and then there was another line item for the alderman that said other professional expenses or something like that, and I asked about that, and they said that was the $80,000 for special events. I love special events. I think the Pride thing this weekend was fabulous, but we have $270 million in police and fire pension debt. We can't afford to be throwing parties. As much as we love parties, we can't afford to throw parties. So especially if we're putting $80,000 in two places. So I just want to clarify what those special events intend to be and why it shows up in two places.
Well, let's be clear. I think, one, they're not parties. I think these are events that bring this community together and that is sorely needed. When I spoke with David, and I spoke with the individuals who are responsible for that, we need to bring festive activities within the city of Waukegan, Alderman. So whether they put it in one place or another, that's my commitment. And if I believe that those dollars will be spent equitably so we, the city of Waukegan, can showcase who we are and what we are. And I'm here to tell you, ma'am, $80,000 probably is not even enough to do that, but I'm going back to how this community believes it can function in the summer months. What is our goal? Our goal is to draw people to us. We can't do that by not doing activities that are co-hosted by us. And
but-
that's what that's all about, ma'am.
But the Friends of Waukegan did a great job this weekend without our help, and they're a nonprofit, and they hosted a great event. I mean,
Ma'am, in all due respects, anyone that has a festival or something like that will get services from the city. Some of them are going to be in kind, and some they have to pay for. But at this particular point in time, I ask you to help us bring in your ward, downtown, the beach, no, throughout the city of Waukegan, ma'am. That's what this is all about.
okay, I understand.
That's what I grew up under. It worked then. I think it can work now. And Lord knows, throughout all of these times that we're going through, we need to be together in Waukegan, and here's a way to do that. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so I have about 3 more questions. So another 2 positions are being added, an assistant building commissioner and a business license director. The assistant building commissioner, I understand, but a business license director, I mean, that seems pretty clear cut. You either have a business license or you don't, you're renewing, you're not. Why do we need a director level position for business licenses?
Ma'am, over the year and a half that I was just being a regular citizen, one of the things that regularly came out, obviously there were some individuals here tonight. We need to have a person who's going to be held responsible for that action. That department will be aligned with the goals and objectives of providing the level of service that our small business community needs. And directorship is something that we had in the past. We call it a collector. You probably wasn't here for that. It was Bill Bacala and George Torres. That position works. It is needed, ma'am. I'm telling you it is. And that's what I believe, and that's why we put it in there.
Okay, and I have a copy of your transition document I referred to a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
that you
ma'am.
wrote in well, not you, your team wrote in 2017. And one of the specific things they addressed in there was a risk manager and how important that was for the city. But I see in this new budget, the risk manager has been taken out and put under the HR department as another position, so to speak.
So,
Alderman, the first thing is that we lost the HR. Okay. So the risk manager doesn't work here anymore. He left on his own accord.
He's not the only one
Nobody
that
pushed
exists.
him. Nobody pushed him out. Nobody fired him. Nobody whatever. He left. Okay. So now it has to be assigned to some. The problem gets to be, as you've seen, with a building inspector, all right, and a finance director. We didn't have a finance director for 4 years. We haven't had a building inspector since the other guy left. Getting these people isn't quite as easy as you think, right? Hiring people in your office or my office is very small. We can have another person. Getting these professional people is not that easy. I don't know the reason for the change, okay? But those are the conditions that we haven't had a finance director in 4 years. The audit still isn't done.
We had an interim finance director who's sitting
There you
right
go.
there.
Well, then
But
point
anyway-
to him and
Thank
ask
you.
him why the hell it isn't done. Because I'm going to come to finance. I'll let you know why, okay? I came last month. I'll be coming
Okay,
again.
point-
I will
point
be
of
coming
order.
to every
I wasn't
I'll be
talking
coming to
about the
every
audit.
finance committee okay, from
Doc.
now forward.
Doc, thank you, Doc. Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Okay, just
ma'am,
two
ma'am.
quick more questions, and then I'm done.
First of all, let me address your risk manager. We have a risk person in our office. During my 2017, 2021, I brought that person in for that particular reason. We still have that. Our community is not large enough to have a full-blown department for risk management. Believe me, I got almost 30 years in the insurance industry. This I do know, okay? So we will have that along with our agent to monitor, and the companies that we typically are insured with will help us free of charge. So that part I understand. I appreciate you bringing it out.
Well, I was the chair of government operations and oversight for over a year, and
Yes, ma'am.
I saw a dramatic decrease in our work comp claims as a result of the programs Mr. Bentz put into use in
Okay.
public works, in police, in fire. I just hate to see us lose that progress we made. I mean, not only are our employees not getting hurt, but then it costs us less money. We don't have them out of position. We don't. So I'm hoping I don't see an increase
Ma'am,
again in.
if I can, your reserves went from 2 million to 4 million. That's, you know what I stand by reserves, right? So your reserves went from 2 million from 2021 to 4 million now. So that's
Right.
an increase in reserves. Simply what happened, that means there's an increase in claims.
Well, but that was mainly due to, I believe, our police claims, not our work comp claims.
No. Our police claims right now, I just want to help you out. We're going to be roughly 80, close to about 100 million. If we had to reserve for that amount, it would not be 4 million. I assure you that. But needless to say, I, along with our department who's responsible for that, will continue to monitor, and we will make sure you get monthly or quarterly updates as to where we're at.
Okay,
Thank
that would
you
be
for bringing
great.
it to
All
our
right.
attention.
One last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Police patrolman for the Community Service Division was listed as 7 in the last budget and is only 6 in this budget. So I'm curious why we lost 1 community police officer.
Ma'am, that was never touched by me. So we can ask, I can get the chief to give you a call tomorrow. But that was something that was not a part of anything that was a directive from this mayor.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. What
Okay,
is
we
the
got,
total?
I'm sorry, Alderman Turner and Alderman Hayes. Alderman Turner.
My earlier comments, what is the exact number of this budget? Is it 294, 296?
Don, just so is it?
Say it again, Don. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yeah, all of us can't do that one. Alderman Hayes?
Okay, just a couple of concerns. First of all, risk manager, I think arguably risk manager is one of the most important jobs that we have in the city. I want to make sure that we have somebody that is taking that role full-time, and if it's under a different department, fine. But Mr. Bentz did an incredible job of lowering premiums and implementing programs across the board to make sure that the city was better situated to address potential lawsuits and other things that might come our way. We are on the cusp of being uninsured, and that is a problem. So we have to make sure that we are doing everything in our power. And I have to believe that insurance company's first question is, what's the phone number of your risk manager? Let me talk to your risk manager. If we don't have one, we will not be taken seriously. So that has to be
And we do, just to be sure, we do.
I want to make sure that it's a priority, and we have somebody in the position that can fulfill
Absolutely.
all of its obligations.
I can assure you that, sir.
Okay. Second of all, director-level positions. It might be the case that other departments need some assistance, but we are approving probably 6-figure salaries here, and I'm not sure. It doesn't seem to me that we need a business license director. It almost seems, and maybe I don't understand the scope of the work, and forgive me, but it seems like it is closer to an entry-level job to send out notices to companies that, hey, you need to renew your business license. Here's your 60-day warning. Hey, here's the fee schedule for your business license. Hey, here's your business license. Hey, here's new programs that the city's implementing as it relates to your business license. I don't know that it's a director-level position. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I think it's a question that we should ask before we approve the line item. Lastly, I've talked to a few other aldermen and other people about this. I feel very strongly about the fact that we need to have a grant writer. Not somebody who moonlights as a grant writer in different departments, but we need to have somebody who takes their salary and multiplies it by 500 by collecting money for the city. I mean, it is the best, it is one of the only positions we have here at City Council where you actually get a return on your investment, a quantifiable return on your investment. There's less federal funds out there today than there were, a year ago. Nonetheless, we need to be somebody that is running down every opportunity that we possibly have. So I would like to see, ideally, a grant writer line item in this budget. I'm not trying to hold it up over that, but I think that we should all take that seriously, and we should immediately put out a posting for a grant writer, because I think it's one of the best things we can do for the city. So,
And it's great that you brought that up, because I have an amazing answer for you. Unbeknownst to us, we have an individual who's on staff who was the grant writer the grant writer director for more than 10 years at City of Hope in our CDBG department. When the person left us or was not stayed on with the city, she came to me and said, "I've been doing this for the last 10 years. No one asked me." So we have somebody on staff. As a matter of fact, she's already started with some things now. So to your point, I agree with you. I would love to put it as a line item, because this person did that not only for City of Hope, but for other entities that she worked for over the last 20 years. But thank you. You helped my case, sir. Thank you. All right, any other questions? With that being said, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Motion passed and carried. 7B, an ordinance to approve the annual appropriation for fiscal year May 1, 2025 to April 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Motion on the floor.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Newsom.
Second.
Second by Alderman Felix. Any questions to the motion?
Can we amend that to include the actual number, $292 million?
Do what?
Appropriate how much money?
Oh, okay. Don can give us 292,000. I'm sorry, 292 million.
238, 200.
Okay.
238,
Yes.
200.
And I agree with you, Alderman Turner. We'll have those from this point forward. All right.
I'd like to amend this motion to include the number $292,238,200.
$800.
I'll second it.
There's a motion on the floor. Of that motion, there's an amendment by Alderman Turner, second by Alderman Florian, to amend, putting the exact dollar amount in there. Any questions to the motion? Can we get just a voice? Is that okay, a voice? No, roll call, please.
This is on the amendment, correct?
On the amendment, correct.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
So the amendment to the original motion has passed. Now on the floor is the actual motion. And that motion is an ordinance to approve the annual appropriation for fiscal year May 1, 2025 to April 30th, 2026 for the dollar amount of, read it, I didn't,
$292,238,800.
all right. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Motion's passed and carried.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we omnibus the remaining items.
There's one,
Yeah,
some of these were
I was
modified.
going to ask you to read that. Is that okay?
I'm more than happy to do it. C and D were slightly modified in committee.
Okay.
You want
So
me to-
let's do this. Let's get a motion on the floor to omnibus, and then you'll read C and D.
That's fair. That
Okay.
sounds good.
There's a motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Guzman to omnibus items 7C, 7D, 7E, 7F, 7G.
I'd like to remove 7G. I was not, when I did my briefing, this was not discussed. Not that I'm against it, but I don't know what it's about.
All right. The omnibus will include items 7C, 7D, 7E, 7F. Any questions to the motion?
So each of these, as I mentioned before, each of these requires the expenditure, approving the expenditure of some dollar amount, right? And
Not all of them.
okay, so no dollars amount spent for resolution approving a building permit reduction and construction license agreement with the College of Lake County. That has no dollar amount associated with it.
There's no dollar amount associated with those.
Okay.
And item D, the resolution approving amendment to the repurchase agreement between the city of Waukegan and Amsky Associates. No dollar amount associated with that.
It's
It's
an extension of an agreement that we started, I think, about 20 years ago, so we're fine on that.
And then item E, resolution authorizing the city of Waukegan to enter into a grant of easement for public utilities, declaration and restrictions, no dollar amount.
Hold on a second. Corporate counsel, Stu is here to answer that. Before Stu, can we at least get it on the floor as an omnibus, and we'll count? I know where you're going. I know where you're going. So there's a motion on the floor, and then a second to approve an omnibus for those items, and we will correct them with dollar amounts attached to them, all right? We need a roll call, please. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donaworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
So now there's an omnibus, and there's a question whether to dollar amounts associated with, let's start from item C. Is there a dollar amount associated with that? No. Item D.
No.
Item E.
Item E is $64,065.
Item F.
There's a payment of rent of $1 a year from the Friends of the Genesee Theater. It's no cost to the actual city.
All right. So there's a motion, and clear it up as to what they are. Now there's a vote. With no questions being asked. That's not, we took that out, sir. Remember, we took that out.
Item D is March 31st, 2016.
There was an extension.
There was a correction on that.
Yes, I agree. So so C and D is going to be read by Alderman Hayes, and I will take E and F. Alderman Hayes, for
Thank you,
C and D,
Mayor.
please read those motions.
Agenda item 7C is a resolution approving a building permit reduction and construction license intergovernmental agreement with the College of Lake County for Urban Farm Facility. This matter was presented to the Community Development Committee on June 2nd, 2025. Agenda item 7D is a resolution approving an amendment to the repurchase agreement between the City of Waukegan and Amsky and Associates LLC regarding the property at 801 Market Street until March 31st, 2026. This matter was presented to the Community Development Committee on June 2nd, 2025.
Thank you, sir. Item 7E, resolution authorizing the City of Waukegan to enter into a grant of easement for public utilities and declaration of restrictions for public utilities along River Road in amount of $64,065. Item 7F, resolution approving an amendment and restated lease and management agreement with the Friends of the Historic Genesee Theater for the premises located at 203, 221, 227 North Genesee Street for an amount of $1. All right. Any other questions to the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donaworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Motion passed and carried. Item G, motion by Alderman Guzman, second by Alderman Florian, a resolution approving the engagement of Elrod Freeman LLP to provide continuing legal services to the city of Waukegan in execution of an engagement letter. Alderman Guzman, you had a question.
What is this about? Just to finish off what is pending, or I don't know?
That's correct. So they're working on several matters, and that we're so far along, it just made sense to keep those matters
I totally agree.
with Elrod Friedman.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
How much?
The same hourly rate that was previously approved by the board, which had you want to step up on that, Stu? I think there was a chart of rates that were accompanied in there.
Yep. So we included the chart of our rates. The reason we needed a new engagement letter is because our previous engagement letter said that we were corporation counsel and that we got a monthly retainer. Now we're just working on an hourly rate. A lot of these things are litigation, so we don't know how long it's going to take. We're trying to wrap them up as expeditiously as possible. Depends on who you're paying. The partners are me. Let's see what mine is. On our special government rate, you're actually going to put me on the line here. $3.30 an hour, but most of our litigation is actually handled by associates who are extremely capable, but are younger and don't mind taking trains up here and everything. So, all right, no problem. Thank you. And thank you guys for.
You and
coming
I
up here. You guys
disagreed,
have
and
great
we
answers.
argued a little bit there. You and I disagreed often and argued sometimes over 4 years, but
No.
I really appreciate your intellectual discussions. Thank you. Thank you
You
for all
guys-
you did
you
for the
guys
city.
have great hands.
I know, but I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Motion passed and carried. Item 8, there being none, closing items. Alderperson's time. Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just a few quick comments. As the warmer season, supposedly moves along, the grass along 120 in between the east and westbound traffic gets so long. I believe it's IDOT's responsibility, and maybe it was cut once or twice last year. It got so long that people couldn't see when they were turning left, at least on the River Road, but into other areas. And then it just collects trash, and it looks awful. So any help we can get from the city to try to nudge IDOT along to just maintain that in a little bit more timely fashion would be much appreciated. It is a safety concern, but it just also looks bad, especially since that's a lot of people's kind of entrance into the city of Waukegan. So let's make it look nice. On the same vein, I had talked to Director Garland about kind of maintaining the sign and the landscaping along 120 there in Green Bay. It looks great when I drove by, so thank you. I did note, this is going to sound like I'm nitpicking, but the sign for the waterfront, there's an arrow and it says, Waukegan Waterfront or Marina this way. It's a rusted out signpost, looks awful, and it's a faded sign. So I don't want that to be their first experience trying to get to the marina. So in the event that we have money and someone can fix that in somewhat timely fashion, I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, it is the opportunity tonight to talk through these issues, to highlight the issues, to hear what other people have to say, I think is really important. I know toward the end there, certain alderpersons were rushing me along. This is the kind of thing that people have asked to hear. And I know it takes a little bit longer, and I know we have to stay a little bit later, but it's a lot of money that we're spending, and I think we should all have an opportunity to say what we think and have a healthy debate about it. The mayor pointed it out afterward, and I think it's one of the best services we can provide to the few people that are watching the meeting, is to show that people are reading the documents that are coming before us and we're making informed decisions. I think that's our job. So thank you for the opportunity to do that tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I wish the developers all the success in the world. I want to see them succeed. So with that, have a nice evening.
Alderman Bolton.
Yes, I want to thank my constituents for always calling me weekly, if not daily, to help keep the First Ward clean. And with that, we have some individuals that's going to be adopting the road, utilizing the Adopt the Road program in the market, on Market Street. So we're looking forward to big projects when it comes to that. And I want to thank our clergy, our church community for rendering our invocation and constantly working with me every city council meeting. And then also the Boys and Girls Club, June 6th at 5:30 to 7:30, will be having a violence prevention night. This includes a walk, food, and different activities for the family and our community in the First Ward. And congratulations to Brother Blanks, your new newspaper. I look forward to attending some of your meetings there. I just had questions in reference to what time is the women's meeting, the men's meeting, and things like that. And being a special mental health specialist myself, I definitely look forward to participating. Thank you. That's all I have.
Alderman Guzman.
Just a few things tonight. I took a short break on the ward meetings because of the whole election and then the transition and how everything was going to move forward. But I'm going to restart them up. So our next ward meeting would be June 21st, 2025, 2 to 4 in English, 4 to 5 in Spanish to discuss the stuff that's going on, the streets that are being done, the streets that were proposed for 2025, 2026. Construction time. There's still construction going on in the ward, so be careful. Just because these streets are getting done and you don't have to avoid the potholes, there's no more potholes, that doesn't mean you have to cruise down these streets at 100 miles an hour, guys. Okay? We got the streets done. You guys, the main complaint was, hey, my street is horrible, my street is horrible, my street is horrible. But now that the street is done, now you're traveling 100 miles an hour through the streets. Come on, guys. Okay, so be mindful. There's kids out there playing. School is mostly out. There's still some people in class, but be mindful of them. They're going to be more out. Summertime is coming, so be careful with that. Speaking about summertime, loud music time, party time. Remember, your party, your music, your like. That doesn't mean everybody else likes your party. That doesn't mean everybody else likes your music. Let's please be mindful of your neighbors. Remember, they might have to work tomorrow. They might be, even though you're saying, well, it's a Friday night, why can't I stay up a little later? They might have to work Saturday morning just because you don't, or just because you get the weekend off. Some people don't get the weekend off. Some people might get a day off during the week, or they work third shift or overtime or something like that. Please be mindful of your neighbors. Turn down the music. I know you guys are having a good time. I know it's, we got very small, few handful of days that are nice, but eventually it's going to get there, and I'm already getting the calls. So imagine now what's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Okay, so let's be mindful, and the kids playing outside and stuff like that. My last thing is sometime in August, the 2nd and the 4th ward are looking into team up, doing a huge ward meeting. I'm working with a park district, maybe renting out the pool for a couple of hours, having a cookout, and then talk about what's going on in the wards on the 2nd and 4th ward, and go from there. So more details to come. I'm still ironing them out. Appreciation time, and just to talk about what's going on, and that we've been here 2 years, and we got to meet up with everybody and see what's the progress is. See where you want us to be in the next 2 years before the re-election, and, keep everybody in mind. Everybody's going to have their thoughts. Everybody's going to have their little quirks and stuff like that, but, the majority of the stuff will be fixed and it's being worked on. Okay? Thank you. Have a good night.
Alderman Martinez.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk and also Council. Before I move forward, I would like to thank Apostle Mark McClory for staying for the entire meeting, also for the invocation for tonight. So thank you, sir, for that. I also want to begin by thanking the police officers, especially Chief Navarro and also Deputy Chief Mike Mandrell for the outside roll call that we had on Grand Avenue last week. It was very successful. It was a way for the community to connect, and a few of my constituents were out there, and then they were able to mingle. But it's their dedication to protect and serve is what the reason they were there. And on behalf of the Third Ward residents and the businesses along, we thank you for that time. Thank you so much for that. Also, I want to remind everyone again, I finally got my eggs in order, and we finally got all the confirmation. We will be having our Third Ward meeting. It is going to be on Saturday, June the 28th. It's going to be located at the Waukegan High School Brookside campus at 2325. There will be more information forthcoming. I will have a sweets table, and I also have a sponsor who will be donating the beverages. That'll be Drip and Culture. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to recognize two individuals that really go beyond in our community and service the community as a whole. They do everything voluntarily. They're dedicated. They're committed. And so, therefore, I will be awarding them with a plaque to give thanks for their hard work and their commitment to the city. Again, that is going to be held on June the 28th, which is a Saturday, from 1 to 3. There will be more information forthcoming. I would also, I extended the invitation to many of the department heads. Hopefully, I will get their confirmations. I would like each department head to either be there in person or send a constituent that represent that department for any questions that might arise that I can't answer that my constituents may have. Hopefully, I'll get those emails back for confirmation, but just so everybody know, that's the next meeting will be on the 28th. Also, one thing I also want to say, with LRS, please, if you're going to have mattresses, please just don't leave them out there. They have to be wrapped in plastic. I can't tell you, the other day I was out there driving, I counted at least seven instances where the mattresses were left out. They need to be wrapped in plastic in order for them to take. Okay? Hopefully we can get the word out somehow, but that's very important because LRS is not going to take it. One other thing with LRS, also, you are able to put out one bulk item per each garbage day, not 2, not 3. So if you have a bulk item, you are given the opportunity for one, then maybe next week you can do the other one, okay? I do want to thank LRS, especially Steffi, the supervisor. She is always on it. We speak often, and she kind of educates me on what the procedures are, and I just wanted to relate it to all the constituents that we have. Please oblige by those rules. What else? I did attend the Pride Parade and festivities. Very impressed, very organized, great crowd. We can learn from them. I want to give thanks to Greg and also Jane Ferry. I mean, I was so impressed. They really had their eggs in order, but it was a welcoming. It was also nice to see so many people come together as one. You know, absolutely great job. Really enjoyed myself, and I look forward to it next year. I also participated in Memorial Day Parade, paying tribute to the courage and commitment to those who pay the ultimate sacrifice and those who are currently serving. If you need to get a hold of me, I can reach at 847-390-2689. I just ask that you be safe, be mindful, and let's all be good neighbors. Thank you. Have a good night.
Alderman Felix.
Thank you. I did also attend two parades, the Pride Parade and the Memorial Day Parade. The Pride Parade was really great. I love the fact they changed it up this year, and we went to the lakefront. What I saw there was a recipe where hopefully we can see that more often with different events, like taco festival or Taco Fest. This is something that has been talked about. That'd be something great to do. Take the recipe from what they did for the Pride Parade and do it for the other festivals. As Mayor Cunningham said, we would like to have more events in our city and bring people in. I have been getting a lot of calls now since the weather is kind of clearing up for noise nuisance. It's something that has been a problem for many years, and we're going to try to see what we can do. Maybe work together with some of the aldermen, see what we can do, and talk to our chief of police and see how can we enforce it. You know, this is something that is a problem for all over my ward, and I'll be looking into it. In terms of residents communicating with me, I get calls daily, text messages. You know, thank you. Continue to reach out to me. Staff has been great. Anytime I send an email out, they respond back right away, so I can have an answer for my constituents. So thank you for reaching out. I do want to announce that I've been working with Energy Fire Fitness. They do Zumba, and I talked to our risk manager, Keely, and we're helping them out. So we're going to have pretty soon Zumba in our beach. So that's something good. They should be making their flyers soon. And thank you for Keely and Lisa, our beach coordinator, for making this happen. So that's in the works. As Diane did say, we do have a great coffee spot in our downtown, which is Post Marketplace. Their address is 224 Washington Street, Waukegan, Illinois. Please try it out. They have great choice. They have great people making the coffee. It's a good place, and you know what? When you go to the downtown, you see the beach coming in. So it's a great way to start your morning. So please visit them, Post Marketplace. Another thing that I do want to say is that our police I talked to our police chief the other day. They're wanting to get together with the aldermen and do a meeting to kind of highlight and ask what the concerns are for our constituents in our community. So, that is in the work. I heard that, people want more ward meetings or more meetings to see what's going on. That is in the works, and definitely the new administration has opened it up for us to work with the staff. And apart from that, I do want to say this in Spanish, and this is very important because this is regarding the if you have a phone in your hand, you will get a violation, possibly a ticket, and get pulled over. So I just want to say it in Spanish, what Mayor said. Si sostienes el teléfono en la mano mientras manejas, podrías recibir una infracción de tránsito. Nuestra policía estará al pendiente, así que por favor obedece la ley y maneja con precaución. So please let your neighbors know and everyone know that our police will be looking. And more than anything is to stop the car crashes that we've seen a lot through our community. That's it for me. Thank you.
Alderman Newsom.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just two items. There was an item in the Committee of the Whole that I had wanted to bring forth with parking on the lawns, to have a discussion on that. And I know a lot of residents, especially on the weekend, they'll do that. So I wanted to start that discussion. And I know last year we passed several ordinances regarding the environment. And if we want to have a clean environment, I think we need to also look at our burn ordinance that we have on file. A lot of residents complain during the spring and summer when they would like to open their windows and people decide to burn, and then it comes all into their homes, and then there's an issue. I know some areas, some cities, that they have a timeline when you can burn. You cannot burn between April and October. You can only burn in the fall and winter months when people are not apt to have their windows open where they can get fresh air. A lot of residents still burn leaves when they're not supposed to be burning leaves. So we need to get that message out to the residents that you cannot burn leaves and what you can burn. And I know our ordinance now states that you can burn in the little fire pits, but people are burning in barrels, and they burn old wood that they may have on their property, and it has a bad smell when it's going into people's houses. So if you are burning the treated wood that you can buy, it's not an issue if you have it in a fire pit. But we need to discuss that, I believe, if we're going to be kind to the environment and kind to the residents that especially have breathing issues, asthma, children with asthma, So it becomes an issue. So just wanted to bring that to the forefront that we can start discussing that. Thank you.
Alderman Turner.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So in the 6th Ward, I'm happy to announce that we had two restaurants where we had the grand openings last week. One is Forasteros Taco at the corner of North and Franklin Street. That used to be a neighborhood bar right on the corner. It closed down. There was a murder in there, and they tried to open it. It's been a long story, but finally it's opened as a new restaurant, and I'm really excited about that. Also, Tito's Pizza at the corner of Glenflora and Jackson has phenomenal pizza and chicken wings. And we were out there for the grand opening, had a great time. That was awesome. Point of note, something you may not be aware of in the 6th Ward, we have 8 like mini business districts that include 11 restaurants, 2 bakeries, 5 gas stations, 3 gas stations, 3 auto repair shops, 5 barbershops, 4 beauty shops, 4 churches, 3 convenience stores, 1 grocery store, 4 bars, 2 insurance agents, including yourself, Mr. Mayor, and 2 accountants. And something I'm very proud of is the thriving small business community, and that's just a sampling. There's a lot more going on in the 6th Ward. A few weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, we authorized the purchase of truck scales for the Waukegan Police Department, Mr. Deputy Chief, and I was happy to see one day, week before last, I hit the corner on my block, and an officer had a big rig pulled over in 1300 block of North Jackson Street, and he was putting them on those scales because he was obviously on the road. He was way overweight. So I don't know how many tickets are written or inspections, but it was a great investment, and it's gonna bode well for the city as we seek to improve and maintain our roads infrastructure. So thank you to the guys there. Excuse me. Also, Deputy Chief Mandro provided me with some statistics on guns seized in the first quarter of this year. That was January 1st to March 31st. There are 40 illegal weapons, firearms seized, and year to date in Waukegan, this is citywide, not in the 6th Ward, year to date is 71 illegal firearms seized. So again, outstanding job keeping our streets safe and get some of these guns off the streets. We really appreciate that. Summertime, grass is growing, had some rain growing fast, we're cutting it. Cutting grass, remember, do not blow your grass into the street. That grass in the street is incredibly slick. I can't even describe how dangerous it is for motorcycles and bicycles. I ride a motorcycle. I don't want to die because you put your grass out in the street. Take your clippings, put them in the brown bag, and send them off to a landfill. If you're interested in establishing a neighborhood watch meeting or a group, please call me. I'll put you in touch with the neighborhood policing officers. And they run that program. I think Chris Harris is our guy still in 6th Ward, but we can help you spin up a neighborhood watch. You just need to be willing. Somebody's got to take the lead on it, right? And finally, there's been a lot of the lead service line replacement projects going on in the northern part of the 6th Ward. And there's also been some curb replacements and driveway apron replacements and so forth. The ADA accessible crosswalk or ramps at the crosswalks, those kinds of things, and people were wondering what's going on. Well, that's all being done in preparation for street resurfacing. Now, the guys, there's contractors and public works out now doing street resurfacing in several wards. I think they're over in the 4th Ward, down in the 2nd Ward, elsewhere, but they're coming into the 6th Ward. That's part of the preparation process. And I get a lot of calls about they came over and they did something and they didn't finish and they need to come back. It's all part of the process, and they're not going to leave your driveway unimproved. They're getting it done. It just takes time. They're working their way through the city. So be patient. And that's all I have. Give me a call if you need me, 847-445-3788. Thank you.
Alderman Donaworth.
Thank you. Yes, again, I'd like to thank the city staff. Everything is, I'm getting emails back like I did before. Everyone is helping me out. You get questions answered, and they are responding quickly. I had a gentleman right down the street from me that had bought a lot, and he was wondering about some of the city sewer stuff, and he was able to talk to the city today, and I believe he got his answer he wanted. Again, like, it's warm. Watch out. These kids are out there. Watch them. They run right out on the street. You just have to keep an eye on them. And went to the Memorial Day parade, and that was fantastic. The whole program was phenomenal. The speeches were great, and the attendance was great. And again, we need to celebrate that. And that's it.
Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I wanted to give an update on the point in time count. I've talked about this in January. Lots of volunteers go out and the last Wednesday of January and count the truly unsheltered, unhoused people on the streets. We found a gentleman in a parking lot who didn't have enough money to stay in a hotel the whole month, so he would stay in a hotel till his money ran out, and then he'd spend the rest of his month in his car. It takes them a while to come up with the total numbers from the night because we're out through the whole county. We want the numbers from the whole county. So that night, there were 561 people homeless total, but 439 of them were in shelters, 64 of them were in transitional housing, and 58 were found unsheltered on the streets. That was less than last year. I forget the total number last year, but it was higher last year in 2024. But I suspect with a lot of what's going on in the world right now, these numbers will probably go up for next year again. So just wanted to give everyone an update because I know I had talked about it after we participated in that count. Last Thursday, I went to the Carnegie, which if you haven't seen it, go, it's amazing. They had a movie about our local piping plovers, which anyone who has a car should know what they look like because that's what's on our city sticker this year. We have a local pair, Pepper and Blaze, and they have returned back to Waukegan this summer to nest. They have laid 4 eggs. They're expected to hatch around June 17th. I learned a lot about their migration. The female, I believe it was, wintered in Florida, all the way down in Fort Myers Beach. She made it there in 3 days. I don't know if I can drive there that fast. And then the male actually wintered somewhere like North Carolina. So even though they come here to mate, they don't spend the winter together. So kind of interesting. I got these adorable earrings there that night. If you want your own piping plover earrings, let me know. I'll hook you up with them. The most exciting thing I learned that night was they gave us a lot of credit for doing the balloon release ordinance that we passed last year. We were one of the only cities that has done this, and even David Motley seconded this when they told me they have seen a lot less balloons this year, and they're giving us credit for that. Now, I don't know whether that's the only reason, but it's good news that the number of balloons they're finding has gone down. So keep spreading the word about releasing balloons into the environment because it's obviously working. And I participated in the Pride Parade on Saturday. The mayor was there, Alderman Felix and Alderman Martinez. Although they rode in a car, I'm going to call them out. I walked the whole thing from the beginning to the end. It was great, good energy. It was a beautiful day. It poured rain last year, so I was very happy they got good weather this year. So thank you and have a good night.
Alderman Martinez forgot something?
Quickly, I totally forgot, but I want to give a shout out to our new business, which will be opening up on Wednesday. We'll be having a grand opening, ribbon cutting at 3 o'clock. And this is for Gertie's Popcorn. Gertie's Popcorn is located at 2214 or 2 doors down west from Euphoria. On behalf of our constituents, we welcome them there. And then one more thing. Due to a lot of requests from a lot of my constituents, I am coordinating a weekend dumpster drop-off. This is going to be held on Saturday, July 12th, from 8 to 3 p.m. It will be located at White's Field. There will be more information forthcoming, but just keep an eye on that. Thank you so much.
Motion by Alderman Martinez, second by Alderman Dunworth. Any questions to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed and carried.